Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings, family. Welcome to the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. And this is the Sajdah Monday Morning Motivation. So sit back, grab you some coffee. We're going to give people time to get in the room and let the algorithm tell everybody know that we are live. And we'll be back in about 3 minutes. So tell a friend and be sure to like and subscribe while you're waiting.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto each and every one of you. Happy Monday. Some of y'all rolled over already like, oh God, it's Monday. But it's okay. You don't have to go through that alone. You don't have to go through that by yourself. We're going to talk about a few things today. Today, I want to talk about self-sabotage. Okay. And it's not a popular topic because we all think we're nice people. We all think that we're loving people. We all think that, a lot of us really do think that we just got this heart of gold. But, we have to learn to self-check ourselves. Okay. So I'm drinking on some good hot coffee this morning. I got a decaf with a little hazelnut. This is how you can test to see if you are really, truly the good person that you think you are. Here's a little test. And here's why I say this, because, when I coach people, there's what they think and what they think about themselves. And then there's a gap between how they're vibing and how they're manifesting and how they're moving through the world and how they see themselves. Okay. And I gave one of my clients just this real simple test about 2 weeks ago. I said, because she was just going on and on about how good of a person she is, how much she loves people, and da 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 da. And I'm just listening. And I said, but let me put it this way: in my interactions with her, I'm not saying she's not a good person. I'm not even saying she's a bad person, but she's not the person that she was describing herself to be, which is okay. All right. Because oftentimes it's not our fault. Some of us have huge boundaries and trust issues, and we're just nervous, right? And I told her, I said, if you're out with a friend or a family member or a colleague, and you sit down with the colleague, excuse me, you sit down with the colleague and you realize the colleague needs a breath mint. You sit down, you're like, ooh, their breath stink a little bit. And you reach in your purse and you get you a mint, but you don't offer them a mint. You get you a mint like, man, I don't want my breath stinking like that, but you don't offer them a mint. Why not? What was in that little moment? Was it like a competitive thing? Like, my breath ain't stinking like hers. What was that? If you sat down in front of a friend and you realized that their hands was all rusty and crusty, and you went in your little tote bag and you got your stuff, your lotion, and you was like, and you didn't offer them any. Are you really that giving and loving person? Would it have cost you anything to offer the person a mint, little squirt of lotion? Because after all, it was their rusty hands or their bad breath that made you realize that you needed it. Or was it in that moment? Did you just relish in that moment to be able to sit there and be like, I ain't like them? How much do you offer others love and light in that little moment? Now, some of you, when I asked her that question, she said, well, if they had asked me, I said, but no. It ain't about what they asked. We already know that your ego is set up such that if they ask you, you're going to want to demonstrate that you're this good person. But what did you do on your own? 2 simple little things. Just giving another person a breath mint because you realized they needed it. Maybe y'all just came from a restaurant and y'all ate something with onions. I don't know. But you realized they needed it. Or you also realized that they needed some hand cream. If they asked you, we know you would. But what is it about your ego? Where are you operating in your ego that made you, in that small moment with that small little thing that wouldn't have cost you anything, what prevented you from supporting that person, and what put you in a position where you said, I ain't gonna help them unless they ask? I'm gonna tell you what it is. And this is something very powerful for us as women, especially. Men, it's a different concept, but I'm gonna deal with us as women. Most of us are so masculine. We do everything in our masculine space. We talked last Monday about getting into our heart space, and we talked about how to utilize our heart space and our heart intelligence in our life decisions and as we move through life. But most of us are so masculine. And did you know that the masculine energy, now I haven't never described it like this. We always talk about it as figuring out how to move beyond your intellectual capacity. But the masculine is the mind and the ego. Not the ego that protects your sovereignty as a person. I'm talking about that ego that responds based on the mind. And the mind is limited. The mind is limited to what it knows. It's limited to what information you have. So most of us never go beyond our intellectual capacity, and we worry when we can't figure stuff out because we're in our masculine. And we're not really good helpers to people oftentimes. We tend to be selfish and competitive because we're dealing in that limited mental space. There's all this talk lately about women getting into their divine feminine, and we think that oftentimes feminine is just, cooking or dressing a certain way. But that divine feminine is that quantum mind, that mind that can see in 3D, that mind that can communicate with the creator, that already knows intuitively and psychically that everything is going to be all right. That psychic mind already knows it's beneficial for me to help my sister if I know she needs a breath mint. It makes sense to offer hand lotion to my sister if I see she's crusty, especially if I'm just going to pull it out in front of her. But that's a very limited and competitive mind that just doesn't. So see, the divine feminine has to learn how to deal with the mind, because the mind is the masculine part and the mind is looking for the benefit. It's like when you're dealing with a man, if you can't show him the benefits of doing something, it may be very difficult to convince him that he should do something, especially if he's not in touch with his heart space or his heart intelligence. So, but we as women, because we think automatically, somebody taught us, in order to take care of yourself, you got to go into your masculine. You got to overanalyze. You got to pay attention to all of this mental stuff. When in actuality, it's the divine feminine that can lock you into your creative space and expand your magnetism and your vibration so that you attract even more things to yourself. That's why if you have a problem, don't keep rehashing the facts. Once you know the facts and you've already put that into your mind and your vibrational crawl and your ego knows what it is, then let the divine feminine take over, because the divine feminine is going to teach you that everything's going to be all right. Not because they're making it up, but because the divine feminine can see it. So that woman or that feminine person in your life is going to be able to see 2, 3 chess moves down ahead, 4, 5 on the other side of the problem. They can see it. And they're not going to get bogged down by the facts because they're hooked into the creator that can defy what looks like gloom and doom to you. Most of the time, we don't let our divine feminine kick in unless it's something that we just go, man, YOLO, I only live once. Or let's say we get diagnosed with something really bad. Then we go, well, shoot, these doctors don't know. They ain't got but one book of mathematics. They just got here 6,000 years ago. We start talking like that, right? When the divine feminine needs to be able to take over. And you got to be okay. You got to find a way to reconcile those two so that your feminine qualities can let your mind know the benefits of relying on it. Y'all didn't hear me. This is somebody's word this morning. That's what that is. And then let me tell you, here's another thing. My theme this morning that I wanted us to talk about, that was kind of an extension of last week. I really want us to focus this week on the brightness of our light. I heard my brother 19 Keys say something very powerful this weekend. Shout out to 19 Keys. We actually met for the first time at Savior's Day, although I know we felt like we knew each other already. He said that oftentimes when your light shines bright, and I've heard this, but I didn't hear it quite the way he said it. It shines so bright that it shines on other people, okay? And it makes them see their own faults or see what they should be doing that they're not doing. And you have to be mindful. I hate be careful, but you have to be mindful because it may make them hate you or be jealous. This is why a lot of times people can know you for a very long time. And a lot of us get in our ego and we get real hurt when all of a sudden people who we've known all our lives seem like they hate on us. Well, a lot of times as you grow and your light starts to beam brighter and gets really, really strong, even that person that's known you for a long time is now being forced to reflect on themselves because it's like you came in the room and you lit up all the dark corners of the room. You lit up all the dark spaces where people had stuff hidden, traumas that they had tucked away that they ain't never dealt with, things that they've done to hurt other people, laziness, stuff that they know they should be doing, but they ain't doing. They see your brightness and it makes them angry. But what we have to know is that has nothing to do with you. Has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and their issues. But then here's the problem. They then, oftentimes because of your love for them, will talk you out of your position and talk you into turning down the light a little bit, dim it a little bit. Why? Because it's just uncomfortable for them. It's just uncomfortable. And they may still love you and they may not mean any harm, but it's just like, just turn it down a little bit. It's too light in here. It's like you trying to sleep and chill and somebody come and turn on the bright light. They like, just turn it off or turn it off for 5 minutes or turn it down a little bit. That's what they're trying to get you to do. But you got to know that your life depends, your life and your life mission depends on how much you continue to move forward and brighten that light. Because if you turn it down for them, I know this, you start killing yourself. Because part of your personal identity now is the brightness of your light. This is how you are communicating with the universe. What did Minister Ishmael say on Sunday? That the minister told him there's nothing but you, God, and the devil. So to keep your connection, right, with that higher power, with that power outside of yourself that is bigger than yourself, you got to keep going towards the light. You have to keep evolving into the bosom of God. You got to keep going. And when you're dealing with God, I don't want to say time, but there's a formulary that we would interpret as time, okay? But there's a formulary that is being put together to accomplish certain things. And when you start dimming the light, you start messing up the formula. So in that little moment, you chose that person who's afraid and worried over God. Because God is putting together a master recipe, a formulary, a prescription, and you doing certain things at a certain time and the brightness of your light at a certain date and a certain time contributes to what is being put together. But when you freak out and decide, man, I don't want them, I don't want to lose them, that becomes your trial. And that's a big thing. And sometimes we do it subconsciously. I know I've done it subconsciously where you're like, all right, let me just dial it back because I don't want, I don't want folks feeling some kind of way. This is you. This is you. I'm not talking about other people tooting your own horn. I'm talking about this is you. And if you're in your right heart space, you're not going to use the light to hurt anybody, even if they perceive that it's hurting them. I hope this makes sense. I see y'all in the chat. Good morning, Mom. Good morning, Sister Betty. Aishia says, Assalamu alaikum, grandest of risings family. Wa alaikum salam, ma'am. Sister Betty said, this is good. Sister Monica's here. She said, Assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you, and great new day all. Thank you very much for those comments and everyone in the chat. Let me know if you're getting this and this makes sense. Because we were talking about gaslighting and love bombing, and we talked about that a few weeks ago in business, going back to the divine feminine. Reason why it's so easy to gaslight you and love bomb you, and reason why it's so easy for us to become victims to narcissism is because we're narcissistic. Our mind, our male side of ourselves is narcissistic to the feminine in us. We gaslight the feminine. We love bomb the feminine. Do you realize you do that? Do you know you gaslight yourself? That's why it's so easy. You've already created the emotional comfort and the emotional habit. So when somebody gaslights you, you okay with it. Or you can be. It's easy. Because here's what we do. Our mind does something or makes a decision. Let's say our mind says, I'm choosing between two men to marry. And our mind says, I'm going to pick this one over here. I'm going to pick Joe instead of Tyrone. Or how about this? I'm going to pick Abdul instead of Ali. Okay. And your heart is saying, yeah, but everybody done told you that Abdul got issues. He's abusive. You saw what his ex-wife said, and you better make sure that he's gotten healing and that he's working this out. And your heart is telling you The divine feminine is telling you, girl, be careful. But what do? You gaslight her. You say, girl, I ain't tripping on that. He got money. He gonna take care of me. She just jealous. You've seen the signs. You've seen signs of it. You've seen signs of him being controlling. You wanted to go out and do something, or y'all not married, so you went on out and did something, and he called you like, wait, you didn't talk to me about going to get your hair done this weekend. Oh no, I always go on Saturday. We gotta talk about that because I had something I wanted us to do. So he gaslit you, and then you like, well, no, you trying to stop me from getting my hair done. No, I'm not. I'm trying to protect you. I'm looking out for you. Whatever. I'm making it very simple. And I know it's more complicated than that, and you seeing it and you like, man, what's wrong with me going to get my hair done? You see little signs. You went shopping with your homegirls. Y'all stop downtown somewhere, got a cup of coffee, and you picked up a few things, and he don't even live with you. He don't even know you like that. You're on your way home and he talking to you about why you shouldn't have went and got that, and telling you all these other reasons, and you seen the control. And your heart intelligence is going, be careful, girl. But you gaslighting her. That ain't what you see. What you see is him loving me. That ain't what you see. What you see is him protecting me. That ain't what you see. What you see is him taking care of me. So now when he comes along and gaslights you, you in a good space because you've been doing it to yourself. I know we didn't think of it that way, but that's real talk. Sister Monica said, this is a perfect way to start my Monday off after a beautiful weekend at my family reunion. Ooh, that's beautiful. I love family reunions. I wish my family had more of that kind of thing. I just love that energy. I think it's so important and it's so powerful. But some families, I know my family on either side, we're not family reunion type of people or anything like that. I guess now it's down to, if the previous generation didn't organize it, now it's down to us, our generation, to start organizing it. So it's something to actually really think about. But that's good, sis. I'm so glad. Hope you all had a good time. Where was it at? What city was it in, Sister Monica? Let me know if you got any comments about this. This is just little mental hacks. Things that we do to ourselves, like how we talk to ourselves. Many of us only talk to ourselves based on the data we have about ourselves. There we go again with the mind and the ego. There we go again with the masculine mind. Where's the feminine mind that says, you know what? No matter what, God loves you. No matter what, God will never forsake you. Where's that side of it? Some of us are over analyzers and over planners. And yes, in business, we have to do that. It's important, right? But there has to be balance. Where's the other side of it? Where's the spirit of the person who created this company that is answering a divine calling? This product that came out of their creative spirit. Where's that energy in the business? We got companies now that have no human face. You don't know who owns it. When you go on there, you see a bunch of characters and a bunch of bots. You don't know. You don't know who's doing what. This is why I'm really pushing us as conscious entrepreneurs, because there are things that are needed in our community. There are things that will help solve problems that we can create and introduce into the community. Let's see. Coach Sherry Babette says, over delayers. I'm not sure what that means, Sister Sherry. Let me know what that means. Over delayers. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about that. The effect of your light on other people. Some people like to say, it messes with their demon, whatever it is. But I think the real practical way to look at it is the way Brother 19 Keys put it, is that your light shining can shine so bright on others around you. It's not like your light is shining and it's contained. It's shining and everybody sees it. And it can make some people mad because it's reminding them of what they should be doing, or what they have hidden, or what they have not done, or what they're doing. Light has an interesting way of moving. I wanted to talk about our divine feminine versus the masculine, and encourage us. And this is just especially us as women. Other men are going to have to tell men how to balance their feminine and masculine. I'm not going to touch that. But as women, let's add some heart space, some heart intelligence to our life and to our decisions. And being feminine is not just cooking, cleaning. It's way deeper than that. It's about understanding the power of your heart intelligence and activating that quantum mind versus the linear mind of the brain that's up here versus the quantum mind that's here in the heart. That linear mind, man, it can mess you up. That's what's going to give you high blood pressure. That's what's going to stress you out. That's what's going to age you. Because especially if you're like me and you're always answering a call and God is always calling you to do something that's bigger than your current intellectual capacity. In that case, you can't bulldoze through the process with your intellect. You can't analyze your way through it. You can't plan your way through it. That's a whole nother way of existing. Okay. Good morning and walaikum salam, Brother Lamont. Coach Sherry Babette, we had asked her what was over delayers, and she put the definition here. She says, after overthinking, sometimes I delay making a move. Then the delay becomes a deferment, missing the time to strike due to overthinking. Yeah, you're in your masculine mind when you do that, Coach Sherry. Because what you're doing is you're overthinking because you're just over reviewing and over analyzing the same information over and over and over again. We call that being on a hamster wheel or a reality wheel. You just keep going over and over and over it. And if you're not adding anything new to it, that's why being analytical, and people don't understand the whole concept of analysis. In business, we have a process called financial analysis, for example, where we take the results, the accounting results, for example, from the prior month or some prior period, and we're analyzing it. So it's the same data. We're not adding any new data to it. We're taking that same set of data and just analyzing it and reviewing it and splicing it over and over again. When we do that in our mind, it's okay to do that to make sure we got everything. But at a certain point, we got to stop and go into our heart space, because by constantly regurgitating that data and that information over and over and over again, you're not going to make a move, because what you're looking for is the comfort to make the move. And in the masculine mind, the masculine has to see the benefit before it moves. And the data is not going to give it the benefit. It's the heart and the heart intelligence that's going to give it the benefit. And then once it gets the benefit, so what you have to do is go into your heart space and focus on or pray for the benefit of making certain moves. So that's why in emotional intelligence coaching, if we're about to make a move, we put down all the different scenarios and we go, okay, now I got that in my mind space. Now I'm asking my heart, help me to see which one of these is the best move, because the data can't see. The heart is the quantum mind. The heart is where is the seat of the love, the intuition, the psychic ability that that comes up from your, so when your psychic ability and your intuition is flowing and your heart is telling your body to make a psychic or a non-data driven move, you'll feel it in your solar plexus. We talked about this in manifestation class. Sometimes you'll feel a little bit almost like you're getting a little sick to your stomach. It'll be right here underneath your chest at the top of your stomach. You'll feel that turning. And so sometimes when you've killed the God within so much, you got to sit down and do a meditation and focus on your heart and that part of your abdomen and trying to pull those energies, get that energy churning again. Because what you want is that part of your intelligence to analyze the data, not the data to be analyzing itself. Does that make sense? So what you want is your genetic coding, your genetic memory. You want all of the mechanisms within you. Because a lot of times we say, well, God got me on a mission. God loves me. Well, how do you communicate with God? Is it with your mind or is it with your heart? And that's why I try to have very, sometimes I'll have a data-driven conversation with God after my prayers. And I'll say, okay, this is what I see in front of me, and this is what I'm dealing with. Help me to see that this makes sense, that I'm aligning with something that you have for me. Help me to see that. And I'm going to tell you another trick. Be mindful about overhashing data with family and friends. Because as Black people, we like to talk and we talk about the same thing over and over again. But what that's doing to your mind is telling your mind that I can't go any further or any more past the data that's already here. So I need to make something happen based upon the data. This is what your will is saying, based upon the data that's here. And if the data that here is some gloom and doom data, or it's not an uplifting data set, then you got to be careful. You're going to have to stop, get out of the conversation where you're just hashing the same thing over and over and over again. What you want to do, and this is what I try to do, if somebody calls me with something, I go into my heart space and I say, okay, how can I help this person to open up their heart so that they can see that, yes, this is the data set, but I want them to see on a quantum level. I want them to be able to see 2, 3, 4 chess moves down the line. I want them to be able to see that God has never forsaken them and everything's going to be fine. Literally, I will send that energy to somebody. If somebody calls me or you coach with me, I'm sitting there in front of you. And while you're telling me the facts, I'm disputing the facts with my heart. Whatever I got to say, well, we don't know enough to worry. Some can always happen that we don't know anything about. All it takes is a wink and a nod. What you asking God for is nothing compared to what he can do. He's never forsaken you. What I do know is that what I believe he can do, he will do. So you're countering, because a person's going to get scared. A person's going to get sad. So you want to counter that with your energy. This is how you lovingly support somebody. But if somebody gives you a set of data and you go off into your corner and to your God and your relationship with your God, and you just keep regurgitating all the negative stuff, then you open them right up to that vibrational energy the next time they talk to you. Especially if they're seeking comfort from you. Especially if they're seeking comfort from you. I tell my clients and my friends and my family, I said, it ain't no problem we can't solve. And I am not going to limit the resolution of your problems to what's up here in my brain. We're going to go beyond that because we have the ability to go beyond that. Let's see who else we got in here. I see Sister Brenda joined us. Wa alaikum salam, ma'am. Coach Sherry says silence is golden. Sometimes silence is golden. He will never forsake. Yeah, sometimes silence is golden. It's also a heart space decision, a feminine decision to determine when to be silent and when not to be silent. Sometimes silence is helpful. Sometimes silence is hurtful. Sometimes you can set a person up. This is something that is a pet peeve of mine. If me and you have a conversation and you have information about something that will help me and you don't tell me, I got an issue. You see, because I might be thinking that this person I'm about to marry or this person I'm about to rely on is really telling the truth, but you know that they're not. And you claim to love that person, but you're not telling that person, hey, be careful. And it's got to be more than be careful. It's got to be, hey, let me just hip you to something. See, a lot of times we just go, oh, just be careful. But see, then that's fear-based. But let's go a step beyond that. If you feel in your brain like, oh, she needs to be careful on this. Don't come to me and just drop the fear out there. Be careful. Don't do that. Come and say, here's what I saw. And this is what I'm thinking. And I know that you may have been relying on X, Y, and Z. Well, I heard this person saying that they really was going to do A, B, C, and D. Give the person the information. And I know we all like, I don't want to snitch and all that. But if you really love a person, you will. One thing about me, I'm not going to let you come and dump something negative about somebody on me. I'm going to be like, hey, let's get them on the phone. Let's have a conversation with them. Let's talk about it. And if you don't want to do it, I'm going to say, well, I need to let her know or him know that you're thinking in this way because I don't want them expending any energy relying upon you and you're not going to be there or whatever. It's just like as simple as if I'm flying in from the airport and I've been on an international flight and I got a lot of luggage and a lot of stuff. And I know my flight lands at 5 p.m. and I think that my cousin is going to pick me up at 5. But you know the cousin ain't picking me up at 5 because the cousin told you they can't pick me up at 5. And you know the cousin getting ready to be out of town themselves, but you don't tell me. I just think that's bogus. So let's practice higher vibrational thinking and energy transference of energy with one another this week. I'm not saying you can't be concerned. I'm not saying that you can't be scared for a person because it happens. I'm not even saying that you can't want them to be careful and that you can't want to protect them. I think it was Brother Bedford had an interview that he did with Black millionaires, and he interviewed Kathy Hughes, the founder of Radio One. And she said that when she was going through what she was going through as she was building the company, she stopped talking to her parents because she knew that they were giving her advice because they were trying to protect her. And what she didn't need at the moment was protection. She needed that insight and that push to keep going so that she can be a history maker. And I just thought that was so powerful. Shout out to Brother Bedford for uncovering that in his conversation with her. So it's okay when we want to protect someone, and think about this with children. You can say, well, no, 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 I don't want you doing such and such, such and such. Sometimes something is just too dangerous and you have to go, no, that's too dangerous. You're not doing that. But other times, there are ways that they can accomplish something if we just dig into it a little bit more and maybe help them find a tweak in how they can get it done. Because a lot of us will protect our children to the point where they won't do anything beyond our intellectual capacity. They're going to live where we live. They're going to work where we tell them to work. They're going to eat how we tell them to eat because we don't know nothing better. And then here comes some of us and we go, but hey, guess what? I'm a Muslim. What? You ain't going to eat no pork chops no more, man. I raised you on them pork chops. But that happens. I'm using silly and light examples so we can get it. But that happens with negative things too. Some people come from families where they are hustlers and live in the streets. And then here you come saying, I'm not getting ready to do that. Then your parent might very well get scared because they may be saying, I don't know how you're going to make it if you're not doing what we're doing. So sometimes we can squash people from living their dreams by forcing them to do what we want them to do because it's comfortable for us. Then we don't have to worry about them. We don't have to even think about it. Something to think about. All right, family. That's it for the week. We got reruns Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week. I encourage you guys to still listen, still tune in, still jump in the comments like you do. I have the love offering on the page here, Cash App, Sajdah Enterprises. So if you want to give some of this love back, I'm gonna keep loving. But if you say, you know what, I want to get into this love offering space and practicing love, then you can also Cash App, Sajdah Enterprises. Sister Monica said, that's right. I will tell you what data I have and let you make your own decision. Kathy Hughes made a great point there. Yeah. Great point. Any other questions or comments before we go? Anything else? If you don't have your commemorative Elijah coin, I would encourage you to get it coming up very, very soon, coming up in the fall. Hint, hint. You are going to wish that you had one of these. Membership has its privileges. If you don't have it yet, I encourage you to get it. I'm encouraging you. I've been a little quiet about it because I'm working on some stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. All right, just love offer, Cash App. Thank you. You all have a blessed week. That's our goal this week, is to work on our light, shining our light, working on loving people and interacting with people on a higher level. Let's be careful about gossiping. Let's be careful about slack talk. Let's be careful about talking negative and bad and speaking bad words over a person's name. Let's be careful about the information that we dump on somebody else. Let's make that our theme this week. Let's be careful about that. Let's be mindful of how we relate information. Let's sit back and take a moment. Instead of praying about everything we want, let's pray for somebody else. Let's see them in the light and the energy that they deserve. Let's do some visualizations for other people, and you'll be surprised at what that can do for your life. All right, family. Peace and blessings. I love you all. Happy, happy Monday. May Allah bless you. Wishing you more goodness than you have ever received or imagined. Seriously. Okay, family. We will see you all. I may do a live. I may do a few lives this week. Yeah, we'll do a live. Okay, so family, we will chat soon. All right, peace and blessings.